Hello, welcome to the show. Now, I was thinking if you were going to get a couple of entertaining blokes in a room, you'd do very well to beat our guests this week, or even two more entertaining guys in a Zoom, as this is proving to be the case. And what's been the greatest achievement so far is getting these guys on Zoom. A technological marvel and a miracle, as we introduce John Breckin, new author John Breckin of Rotherham United fame, and Ronnie Moore, also of Miller's Folklore. Hello, gents. Ronnie, you didn't have a problem with this at all, did you? We've been waiting about half an hour for the other guy, haven't we?
Modern technology is just not for me or Breck, I don't think. I mean, I was lucky because my missus did it. And I think in the end, Breck, did your missus do it for you?
I had to call for some help, mate, definitely. We didn't have a computer. We didn't have a computer when we were at the football club.
Well, this is breaking new ground.
Our brain was the one.
Yeah, you're right there, mate. You can't beat the brain and the eye.
Breaking new ground for the pair of you, and it's great to have you. I've known you for years, and it's about this, but not entirely about this, because the two Sheffield clubs are going to come into our conversation. Sheffield Wednesday, not least. There we are. Breck, My Life in Football, John Breckin, written with Les Payne, the encyclopedic journalist of Rotherham, who's done a brilliant job with this. It's so good. Look, I've got a confession to make, guys. John, normally I speed read through a book if I'm interviewing somebody about it, but on the flick through, it was just so good that I didn't want to spoil it for myself. I want to sit down and luxuriate and enjoy it. So I've not read it completely. I've just picked out one or two things. Just tell me about this, because I think unsanitized football stories are now in vogue. It's warts and all, John, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about my life, and it's all true that's in there. Some great times we had, especially Ronnie's in the book hell of a lot, because he's a big part of my life in football. You know, as players, we were together that great 80-81 season. And then obviously when Ronnie came back as manager, I was already at the club, and Ronnie asked me to step up to be assistant manager. And we had an unbelievable 8 years, which, it's all in the book. And I'm really pleased with it, the way Les has done it, with the way he's wrote it. And he takes a lot of credit for it. He's stayed up early hours of the morning. We've had 4-hour telephone calls, and we've had meetings at the football club with the social distancing. It's been a little bit awkward, but it's given us something to focus on. And it's so far, Alan, it's going down really well.
Fantastic. Ronnie, you get a couple of mentions, at least.
Yeah, well, we've known each other for a long time. That's the thing, isn't it? You know, when the achievement that we did as players was fantastic in that team in 80-81, probably the best team that I've ever played in, no doubt about that. I mean, it was just a fantastic team and a fantastic time. And then to go into the management at the club where you've been and enjoyed an awful lot of good times, and Breck obviously being there for a lot of years of his life as apprentice, straight through to the assistant manager's job there, and to stay in that league at that level for 4 years at the championship level, it was just unbelievable, to be fair.
Well, what we'll look at during the course of this hour's chat with the pair of you, particularly, is the promotion game. The Alan Lee goal. I've been trawling YouTube and I found that. I'm sure the pair of you watch that on a regular basis, but I'm sure that the Rotherham community will enjoy watching that any number of times. But before we go on and sort of look at various aspects of your story, John, there is a serious side to this. This book, published by Vertical Editions, is proudly supporting Rotherham Hospice. Proceeds are going to Rotherham Hospice, and you have a personal reason for that.
Yeah, it was there for me and my family, the Rotherham Hospice. There's a lot of good causes out there, Alan, a lot of buckets, and just for me, the Rotherham Hospice in my life, it's local, it's on its doorstep, and it serves the community of Rotherham. And I don't care who you are, whether you're, an husband or a child of someone, or a grandson or a friend even, you know someone that's needed the hospice, and when you need that call to the hospice, they step up, and they did unbelievable job for me and my family. And I've got some really good friends there at the hospice now, and I'll just, while ever I'm alive, I will do what I can to try and help the hospice to survive. And it's a must that, you know, it's one thing in Rotherham. We do take a lot of stick, Ronnie, me and Ronnie and everybody in Rotherham connected. The town takes a lot of stick, and but the hospice is one thing that we've got right. It's a superb place. I hope a lot of people listening to this don't really need it, but unfortunately, it's there for us.
Yeah, your late wife obviously comes very much to mind at this time. There's a chapter in the book about what she went through and what the family went through, which is very, very poignant.
Yeah, when Les did this, we sat down and talked about my life, and it's a must that this goes in, because it was a big part of my life. I lost my partner there. Jessica, my daughter, was only 8 years old. Ronnie was there all the way through that with me. He was there on my, you know, holding me together a little bit. Massive help for me. He visited Denise when she was in the hospice, and you know, he just kept me going. He's the type of bloke. I've always said to people about Ronnie, the one thing about it, if I was on a desert island, I'd want him at the side of me. You know, it does say that in the book as well. He was a great help for me, Alan. But as I said, the hospice stepped up when I needed it, and I've got some friends there, and you know, we must keep this place going.
Well said. What is it about you two that created this spark and this long-term relationship that you've had as teammates and you know, subsequently as manager and assistant manager? Ronnie, you were signed from Cardiff City by Ian Porterfield. I remember that way back. John, you were already a player there, and you'd had successful times in a Jim McGuigan side and with Ian Porterfield as well. So, Ronnie, what was the spark then for this relationship?
I don't know. We just seemed, you know, as soon as we met, we just seemed to hit it off. I mean, we decided in our wisdom as well to run the players' bar as well. That we used to have a players' bar there where you got the drinks in, and the profits made from the drinks and all that went to holiday time. So, you know, when everyone used to go to Magaluf or somewhere like that at the end of the season for a good old knees up and a few beers. And we run that together as well. It's just one of them things where you can't really put your finger on it, but we just clicked straight away. You know, it was just, and in the end, really, you know, playing days and whatever, not so much now because we don't really see as much, which is probably because I'm a lazy thing more than anything. You know, John gets out and about more than I do. But, you know, he was like, he always, and always will be, he's been like a brother to me. You know, it's just one of them things that happens in life. And fortunately for me, you know, it was great for me to meet a guy like him.
You had a lot of success under various managers, but inevitably in football, there are bust-ups and barneys behind the scenes. And many of those are never reported. Even in footballers' autobiographies, they tend to be a bit sanitized. Oh, I can't say that because it might offend so-and-so, whatever. John, you've pulled no punches. You've left nothing out, surely. And if you have left anything out, I want to hear about it.
No, I've said that it's got to be true, everything in there, and Ronnie will vouch for that. He was there at my side when the playing days. As Ronnie says, we just did it off. We used to get in early. That 80-81 side was just an unbelievable year. We were in there. We were all one big family. Everybody says this about teams, but it is true. We run the players' bar, me and Ronnie. We used to get the cheapest lager. Can you imagine on a Friday now, players going, we went to Batley's, the wholesalers, and Ronnie would be there finding the cheapest lager. That was for the away team.
Viking lager or something.
Viking lager. We found this lager. And
we used to charge the away side more for it, didn't we?
We used to charge them, especially the London lads. They got more money than us anyway, Ron. But, you know, they used to come up, and Joyce used to run it. And she used to, and we'd take over when we got in there. Imagine doing that nowadays. I mean, rightly so, they're not allowed alcohol now after the games. They found out now that it's not really good for you, but you know, it was part of the
It didn't do us any harm, did it?
No, it didn't do us any harm. And the one thing about it, that Jim McGuigan used to always say to me, he used to say, you know, you've heard the stories about the centre forward that used to have 3 pints of beer coming to the football match, and he scored an hat-trick. But Jim McGuigan used to say, but what they didn't tell you were the centre half had called at 4 pubs and he'd had 4 or 5 pints. So that was it in them days. But no, we ate it off. And in the book, I've opened up and said that I didn't really get on with Emlyn Hughes. God bless him. I mean, he had nothing. We didn't have that many fallouts. It's just that I just don't know what it was. There were certain players that Emlyn come in after Ian Porterfield, that great side. But
I think it was also, John, what it was like, because he wanted to play left back or left-sided centre back. You and Jimmy Mullen were the one. If it had been the centre forward, I'd have probably been saying the same thing. But he wanted to play left back. Then when he didn't want to play left back, he brought you back, and then he played left-sided centre half. And Jimmy Mullen was the fall guy, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. And he just wanted. I think he just wanted to break that Porterfield. You know, Jimmy was skipper. I was club skipper off the park. You know, Graham Brown had been one of his signings. Ceesay had been one of his signings. I just think, rightly so now, me thinking in management terms, Ron, being assistant to you and various other people, that I think Emlyn just wanted to break that up somehow. He just didn't want the Porterfield situation haunting him a little bit. Yeah. I just thought that, but it was that he wanted to play that left-hand side. So it was Jimmy Mullen first that had to go. Then it was Ceesay and Brownie, and then, you know, I stayed and played. The famous February we had, mate, it was unbelievable, weren't it? You know, there's been a lot of publicity about that. But going back to what Alan asked me, I've openly said that we didn't get on. You know, I've also praised him. I mean, I played alongside him, Ronnie, and he was magnificent, Emlyn, weren't he? Refereeing a game. He was out there. You know, he used to tell us before we went down the tunnel, the referee's name today is Paul. Do not call him anything else. And he used to be out there going, Paul, great decision, Paul. I think you got that one wrong, Paul, but unlucky. By the end of the game, so much experience. And let's face it, he was a great player. Emlyn Hughes was a great player. And the things he achieved, mate, the medals he got and everything. So I don't take that and I praise him for that. But I just think in management, in later life now, thinking back, I just don't think he was cut out to be a manager, and I've put that in the book.
It was the man management part more than anything, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah, the man management more than anything.
That day when you had the argument with him and it ended up scrapping in was it Brentford?
No, it was down at Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace,
if you remember,
and that was part of my fault, wasn't it?
yeah, it was part of your fault. That, to be honest, now you're saying it. Alan, he's admitting it. What happened was I put the ball down for a free kick, and me and Ronnie had this telepathic, is that the word? We used to look at each other, eye contact, and he's just given me a nod, and I've whipped this ball into the near post. And Ronnie just stayed. He didn't go for it, Alan.
I didn't go,
The keeper got it, kicked it down the park, and they scored. So that started it off a little bit.
I think you were waiting for me to say something, and he's still waiting now.
I'm looking at Ronnie. I'm looking at Ronnie thinking, get me out of this, Ronnie, get me out of this. And it didn't just happen there. I can understand that after a game, but Emlyn come across, and we confronted each other, and he grabbed me by the neck. And the rest is in the book. You'll have to buy the book to read it. But, you know, we had some good times, don't get me wrong. I mean, I played alongside him quite a bit. The famous February, which was 8 games, unbelievable. And we won the next one. Oldham, you remember that handball run that you knocked out of the keeper's hand? So that was that. And we drew the next one after that. So we went from third bottom to third top. It's just an unbelievable month. It's a record that never be beat, that at Rotherham, mate. Never.
Listening to the two of you chatting there, the understanding is telepathic. You don't need me. You definitely don't need me for this show. It's great. I was going to prompt you on ending grabbing you by the neck, but you delivered there, John. Can I just ask you? There's one story in the book which has never been told, and which I was involved in, kind of directly or indirectly. And it's briefly mentioned on page 196, the possibility of Ronnie Moore leaving Rotherham to go to Sheffield Wednesday. This was in about 2002. And Ronnie, I'm going to ask you about it in a moment, but I remember it well because I had an SOS phone call from Hillsborough on a Saturday night. And Sheffield Wednesday had lost again. And it was to the effect of, you know Ronnie Moore, don't you? Can you get hold of him for me? And I said, yeah. When? Now. And can I see him tomorrow? Was the message. So I kind of arranged a rendezvous. Ronnie, what happened next, as they say?
Well, it's one of them things as a manager, when you're doing well and you're winning the games that you're winning and getting recognised, you are going to get that type of a phone call. And it's happened to a lot of managers. And Breck will tell you, it wasn't only Sheffield Wednesday. we had some trips out, basically just to go and have a look and listen and see what people have got to say and what it's like, and then you pick your brains and think, because we must have spoke to about 6, maybe 7 other clubs, but we went round and met with Dave and he was talking. I didn't realise he was a big Pigeon fan and whatever, so the discussion went round onto pigeons and this, that and the other. But the case of going there, you look at loyalty in football, people say, but me and Breck, it sounds a bit daft, but we went just to get a feel and see. We were offered lots and lots of increases in your wages to go to other clubs. But, because we were at Rotherham and Rotherham was in our heart more than anything, it was like a little game. Obviously, if someone went and said, I'm going to give you £1 million, the little game changes, doesn't it? But because, it was a scene of, and I can understand a little bit where, Darren Moore this week, he's gone from Doncaster, where they've been doing really well. All right, they hadn't won for 4 or 5 games just recently, but they're flying, and he's moved to Sheffield Wednesday. So he's not staying loyal to Doncaster because sooner or later, which happened to me and Breck, someone's going to come in and stab you in the back. And your loyalty for that club and staying at that club is, that was the reason that we never moved. We were loyal, and we loved, to be honest, I loved it. It was like a big part of me. So there was no way we were going, but it was interesting just to have the trips and have the little, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham. If I'd have gone to Sheffield Wednesday, I'd have got hung in Rotherham, so I'd have had to move house and all this. So it was one of them cases, but, but it wasn't only Sheffield Wednesday, but yeah, meeting Dave Allen and, but we didn't go down that road. Our road was to keep Rotherham going.
Yeah, it's the way of the world. People are naive if they don't think talks are taking place between managers and other clubs all the time.
It's going on everywhere, Alan. It's a little phone call, a little talk, and Breck will probably tell you 1 or 2 little things about, when we have been somewhere or wherever we've been.
Yeah,
because he's really big, Breck. He's like an encyclopedia.
Okay. Well, before we leave the Sheffield Wednesday one and go to Breck on that, it was a little bit clandestine. As I remember, I arranged for you to be outside a certain hotel in South Sheffield at a certain time, and the chairman of Sheffield Wednesday came by and in his motor, and you were swept away, and you had talks. Do you ever regret it looking back now? Because you would have earned more money, you would have joined a bigger club. Does any part of you ever think, what would have happened if I'd have taken that job?
No, well, it's hard to say yes. Say no. I could have had the job if I'd have said yes. The job was mine. It was simple as that. If I'd have gone, yeah, all right, I'll do it. But the only regret really came when the way that we actually ended up leaving Rotherham. We're talking about the famous five coming in, and things weren't going well. If we'd been flying, they'd have come in and give me a 3-year contract. But we were just, it wasn't quite right, but we needed to just manipulate and move players on and get it right. But they've come in, and then, for them to say to me, we need to get to know you. Well, hold on a minute. You've supported Rotherham all your life. I've been here for 8 years. What more do you need to get to know? It was times like that when you think back and think, do you know what? I should have done that, because there's no loyalty show whatsoever from the 5 people who came in. They couldn't wait to shift us on, really, which was a bit sad.
Yeah. John, you were obviously party to all of this, and where Ronnie goes, you go is basically the situation. So you recall other possibilities. I mean, there's the Ipswich story as well, of course, isn't there?
Well, I mean, the Sheffield Wednesday one, you're right. I drove him to the hotel. This limousine come at the side, and Ronnie's in it and disappeared for 3 hours. I didn't know where he was. I was just in the hotel, but there was plenty more. When you have back-to-back promotion and the success that we had, and Ronnie's the character that he is, then he's going to attract it. And yeah, there was a lot. There was, I can name them. There was Wigan, there was Hull City twice, Stoke City. We drove down to Watford to a director's house down there. We can't say this now. There was plenty of. He was red hot at that time, and I was part of the package. And Ronnie always said that I would go in with him. But the Ipswich one was unbelievable. It was a Friday. And we were going about as business in the office, Alan, and I'll never forget it. I went through for some paperwork, and as I've gone into the office, I just heard, it was Barbara at that time, one of the girls in the office. She put this call through to Phil Ensign, and Phil Ensign took the call, and I didn't realise it registered in me. It said Mr. Sheepshanks on the phone from Ipswich. So I'd gone back into the office to Ronnie. I said, Sheepshanks is on the phone, Ronnie. I says, I wonder who, hey, get ready for this, mate. Who will they be bidding for? I just automatically thought they're on the phone. The chairman, come on the phone, wants to speak to Phil Ensign. There's a bid coming in for one of our players. So me and Ronnie are now scratching his head in the office thinking, who are they going to be after? Who are they going to be after? So we're doing that. And then it all unfolds that it's Ronnie. But, so many offers. I mean, we drove to Leeds one day. I dropped him at Leeds, and this is unbelievable where Peter Lorimer, who sadly is not well at the moment, he was meeting Ronnie, and I drove him to the car park. And Leeds is a massive club, and Sky TV are there. I've seen the Sky presenter running down the car park. We're trying to keep this all under cover. We should have gone to an hotel anyway. But Ronnie will tell you, I've intercepted and I've shouted to Ronnie, and thankfully Sky TV didn't do anything. Ronnie pleaded with them, and that never went out, Alan. But that is a true story, and Ronnie will vouch for that. But there were plenty of offers, and it was sad in the end how it ended at Rotherham. 5 fans took over the 5, and they needed to get to know Ronnie, which really was just a cop out, really, because to be honest, if you're in Rotherham and you don't know Ronnie Moore, then you don't belong to the town.
Well, they had no balls at the end of the day. You'd much more appreciate if he'd come in and says, look, things aren't working out. Time to go. It's football. We've always said, and I've always said, football, it's like life. In life, you're born, but you don't know when you're going to die. In football, right, you're being appointed as a manager. The only thing is you don't know when you're going. It could be a year, it could be 10 years. But it's the way it ends, which always saddens and leaves the bitter taste in your mouth. And yet we weren't playing well. I was going through a bad time in my marriage and wherever. So I'd half lost a little bit there, trying to get my feet back on the ground and get my head right and sorted on what I was doing and which way that was going to go. So, yeah, it does affect you, but that doesn't mean you go from being a decent manager to a bag of crap just after that. So there needs to be a little bit of humanity in it, where you put your arm around, are you all right? Can I help you? What's wrong? We trust in you too. We're going to keep it going. Something like that. And I'm sure, we would have gone on and rectified everything that was going wrong at the time. but just be honest with it. And that's the only time in my life that I ever thought I should have left Rotherham United, because of the way that ended. And like we said before, but there was something in me that just didn't allow me to go. And it, like I say, there was more money everywhere, but it was just that feeling inside that I couldn't do it. I couldn't go. It was simple as that.
Yeah,
I think the five boys
story is absolutely one that I have no idea about, and that there's plenty more like that in the book. Tell me about, as this is going out on Sheffield Live TV and also on YouTube, tell me about the relationship of a smaller club to two bigger ones that are just 6 miles away. You must have always enjoyed trying to knock spots off them, or beating what they were achieving. And in many ways at Rotherham, you did, didn't you, Ronnie and John? You shouldn't have achieved what you achieved. That must have given you enormous satisfaction.
Go on, Brett.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was just an unbelievable time we had. And, we begged, stealed and borrowed off managers. We worked really hard on looking for players, searching for players. Ronnie used to stay at the training ground, just look under that brick, see if there's a player under there, and keep pulling a rabbit out of the hat. And we certainly did put some miles in, Alan. You've got to do. I mean, it's changed a hell of a lot now. We've got the computer system. You can look at a player. You can look at his best chances, his worst chances, his defending. You can do all that, but there's nothing better than jumping in the car. Me and Ronnie used to do most of the business in the car. We'd be talking to each other and putting ideas. And then we'd go and look with his own eyes for players. So there was a lot of hard work. But in the 2 years that we got the back-to-back promotion, it moved so quick. And, I remember Bob Paisley, I think it was. I read one of his books, and it was same for me and Ronnie. When you get promotion like that and promotion again, it's a sad time in a way that Ronnie has to look down the bus coming back. Bob Paisley said it about the Liverpool side. They'd just won the FA Cup. They'd won the league. They'd done the double. And Bob Paisley said to one of the lads, "It's a bit of a sad day today." And he said, "Why is that, Gaffer?" He said, "Well, look down the bus. I've got to get rid of 6 of them players." And it was same for Ronnie. We'd gone bump, 2 promotions. We've got it seriously now. We're in this championship, and we're in this, and it's a brutal league for Rotherham United. Believe me, it is brutal. It can be so cruel at times.
But we had some decent games against the Sheffield clubs, though, didn't we? I mean, the 2-2
we had
you look at the Sheffield Wednesday game when we've done it 2 years running in a 90-something minute. I mean, it was just incredible. I nearly got arrested the first time, if you remember. I've gone running on like a lunatic with a 2-1 in the middle of the centre circle, bowing to all the blooming all around the ground. Got carried away. I forgot I had to come back to the tunnel where all the Sheffield Wednesday speckies were waiting for me to come in. And you spat on and this on, and then a copper stopped me and said, "Look, you could be done for trying to incite a riot." Which I thought, oh my God, let me just enjoy this 2-1 win, will you? And then we did it the following year, and I decided I wouldn't do the 2-1 again. I thought, just might look the same cop will be waiting for me in the tunnel.
Well, I said to you, remember that, because I remember you coming in after that game and your face. We've just beat them, and you're in the dressing room and you walked in with your face and you were pale, and I thought, you don't look well. Something's happened here. And you said to me, "I think I'm in trouble." I said, "Why is that?" He says, "Well, I just put 2-1 up to the Rotherham fans, but I think you did it to all 4 sides."
Everywhere, yeah.
As you do. But then the big policemen were waiting for you at the top of the tunnel. So you said to me, "I think I've been done," which, you didn't actually. But and then we did it the year after as well. But yeah, it was great times, and we had to move quick, trying to survive. And like Alan said there, to do what we did, on the budget and everything, well, it was just unbelievable. We got a lot of help, didn't we, Ron? We got a lot of contacts. Harry Redknapp were brilliant with his players, didn't charge the full amount in wages.
Because some of the wages that Harry had, the players he had, I mean, they were on massive money, weren't they? I mean, and for us, to be fair to Ken Booth and all this, though, Boothie was brilliant money. Every time he never really said no, because people say, oh, he's tight, this, that, and the other. But when we asked him for what it was, and he was always looking for a profit, wasn't he? You know,
always, yeah.
Like the Alan Lee deal, we needed to pay 10 grand sign a loan fee, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then, you know, he was saying to us, because we said it's going to cost us 100 grand. Will I get my money back? And we would say, yeah. We'd say yeah, even if we didn't think we were going to get it back, so we could have him, to be honest. But then to get £1 million back for somebody who you pay 150 grand for. And the thing about Ken, though, he never ever come back with a bottle of champagne or anything, did he? He never said thank you or whatever. It was one of them, wasn't it? Oh, there's another $1 million for my bank.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, that's where it used to be.
I hate to break into all the stories, JB and Ronnie, but we're going to resume. We've got to take a break and then come back, and we're going to talk more about Alan Lee and that goal. In fact, we're going to relive that goal in part 2. More on Moore, Ronnie Moore on Darren Moore. Like to hear his thoughts on that. Also, the pair of you on Chris Wilder, because it strikes me that there's a parallel between your achievements on a tight budget and relatively his achievements for Sheffield United on, as I say, relatively a tight budget for the Premier League. Do come back with these guys in a couple of minutes. See you then.